member from Kenora-Rainy River.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is for the Premier. Last week, this government made an announcement on the Ring of Fire without bringing First Nations to the table.
Terrible.
And without any assurances around job and training opportunities for the First Nation communities in the region.
Lord, sir.
NAM Deputy Grand Chief Terry Wabu says that the government is not listening to First Nation aspirations for their youth and children. Does this government have a plan to ensure First Nations workers will receive the training they need to benefit from development in the Ring of Fire?
Question. Premier. Responsible for Aboriginal Affairs. Minister of Aboriginal Affairs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And absolutely, yes, the government does have a plan to ensure that First Nations people are brought into not only training opportunities and skills development, but also into the consultations around environmental monitoring, around resource revenue sharing. It is a whole package, Mr. Speaker, of involvement on behalf of First Nations. As I said last week, the business decision that was made as a business decision, and it had to be made in confidence. But the fact is that now we start that larger formal consultation to make sure that all of the First Nations involved and the children for generations to come have the opportunity to benefit from this terrific project.
Supplementary.
The Ring of Fire is not going to work unless it involves opportunities for the First Nations that live near the mining site. Last week in question period following the Cliffs announcement, Minister Duncan made some lofty claims about the 1,200 First Nation Ontarians who will be hired to work in the Ring of Fire. But in fact, there hasn't been any commitment for First Nations job training. Will the Premier commit to actual funding and a strategy to ensure that First Nations can take advantage of the employment opportunities the Ring of Fire provides?
Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. As I said last week, one of the first trips I made when I was appointed to this ministry was to Webequie, which is one of the communities that is very close to the Ring of Fire. And the conversations that I had with the people in Webequie were about exactly this. They were about training opportunities. They were about the skills development that was going to be needed. They were about the location of those training facilities to make sure that the young people involved can access those opportunities. Mr. Speaker, we are absolutely aware that without the involvement of First Nations people, without that workforce, and folks in Kenora said to me last week, the First Nations people in Northern Ontario are the workforce for Northwestern Ontario. So it's absolutely part of the plan. We know that the Ring of Fire cannot be successful unless First Nations people are brought up to speed, they have training opportunities, and they're involved.
Thank you.